This is Don, and I want to share with you some of what I have learned with my involvement in the Sonoran Desert and particularly the saguaro and what's happening to the saguaros. I've been involved for a number of years now with activities, plant uh, the invasive plants within the community I live in, as well as in the Tonto National Forest, where I have spent a lot of time hiking and also removing the non-native plants. And I have been in, I have an vested interest because this actually is the view, my backyard. This is my view. So I do have had a vested interest in what's going on in the Sonoran. This is the Tonto National Forest and the Sonoran Desert. And so I've been involved with the community and trying to protect the community from the uh, encroachment of these non-native plants. And the activity with the saguaros started several years ago when within the community there was uh, a number of saguaros were starting to uh, fall over and the activity in the community was what's going on, question of what's going on and why are these saguaros dying. At the time it was more likely thought of as being an urban effect within the communities where they've been transplanted, and the heat island effect increases the temperature and so on. But uh, m- talking with other people involved, active in the forest areas, it became obvious that similar problems were occurring also within the Tonto National Forest. And uh, saguaros have a tough life. Always been a number of threats around. The wind and lightning always been around, and habitat destruction's been going on for a long time. There has been uh, activity to transplant most of the saguaros that are involved with the development that goes along, but they don't live as long, and uh, they are not likely to, they're less likely to survive the transplant. Uh, Wildlife, rodents, termites, and uh, other animals, necrosis, this microbial bacteria that it goes after, it attacks primarily saguaros that have been weakened by some other stress. Fire is a more recent activity with the invasive plants uh, filling in the spaces between the plants. So historically, fires didn't travel far. There was lightning and other causes, but fires didn't travel as far. Uh, Nowadays, the fuel provided by the invasive non-native plants is allowing these fires to travel for long distances and spread. So that's a very significant impact on the survival of saguaros. the extreme drought, that's always been a factor. Uh, Maybe more prolonged now, but extreme drought has been the uh, history of the saguaros, and they've adapted somewhat for that. The new impact is primarily the extreme heat that we're seeing, both daytime and nighttime heat uh, is a newer threat to the saguaro and having a major impact. We know about the impact of the fires on the saguaros. They do not survive fire, and there have been a number of large fires in the Sonoran Desert, in the Tonto National Forest, and this one example, the bushfire, uh, over 80,000 saguaros uh, estimated to be killed in that one fire. But there's also something else going on, and that's more about this video is more about what else is happening. And we need to understand a little bit about how the desert plants, the cactus, saguaros in particular, have evolved, and the changes to the photosynthesis process to allow the survival in the extreme heat that historically has been in the desert. And it's most plants uh, avoid the heat or reduce the impact of the heat by uh, y- the transpiration or sweating, using water to cool the surfaces. And so we'll talk about photosynthesis and the heat avoidance and the water and the mechanism, the CAM mechanism for photosynthesis that used by saguaros and other cactus, and a little about the outlook. And so the basic understanding at this point is that the die-off of the saguaros is a consequence of the increased heat and the stresses from the water, lack of water, drought, and the increased heat combination is having a significant impact. Uh, Want to recognize Mike, a friend who has helped me understand what's going on. He's retired from the Department of Agriculture, a plant physiologist, and had some particular expertise with photosynthesis, not specifically cactus, but the photosynthesis process. And he has published papers and recognized as a expert in this area. So the uh, plant life in general avoids or reduces the impact of heat by uh, evaporation and the water cooling off the surfaces helps the plants tolerate the heat. And there are these stoma. We'll talk a little more about the impact, but these valves or these openings in the surfaces of the leaves that open and close to control the flow of gases, carbon dioxide in particular, and the water that's taken in through the roots into the plant and then uh, evaporates off the surfaces of the leaves to help cool the plant. So, and these stoma are able to open and close based on external conditions. So this is how most of the plants uh, cool by using the water. But the desert plants can't afford to lose the water they take in. They need to store it and they need to keep the water uh, to survive through these long droughts. And the process in most plants is, and I will definitely simplify this to the level that I can understand, but water and carbon dioxide are combined through photosynthesis to produce the sugars. So these specialized cells within the plant adapted are take in the sunlight and synthesize water, carbon dioxide. So the plant needs water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight in order to produce the sugars. So most plants open up the stoma or these valves that take in the carbon dioxide uh, during the daytime, and at the same time, the oxygen is released as well as water is released out of these to help cool the plant. Let's talk a little bit about the CAM process, which is used by the desert plants. And my apologies to the biologists and botanists and other scientific individuals for my simplification of this process, but I need to do that uh, from to match my capability. But anyway, the CAM process is adapted because if the stoma are open during the daytime, the plants are going to lose water. So the adaptation is the CAM plants take in the carbon dioxide during the nighttime. They take carbon dioxide in at nighttime, but there's no sunlight at that time, so it can't do the photosynthesis process. So it stores the carbon dioxide as an acid, a malic acid. And then during the daytime, when the sun is shining and the stoma are closed to conserve water, during the daytime, internally to the specialized cell, the malic acid is converted back into carbon dioxide to produce the sugars. So critical for the survival of saguaros is that opening the stoma at nighttime allows carbon dioxide, closing them during the daytime conserves the water, and this process goes on continually. And when when this functions, that's the survival method for the desert plants. But under certain conditions, extreme conditions, drought and heat, also heat, these stoma do not open during the nighttime. They remain closed. And the process goes into what's called cam idling. And this process continues, but there's no carbon dioxide taken in. And therefore, there can be no sugars produced during the daytime. So this is the process to avoid the water loss during the daytime. Here is a graph of the temperatures over the last 20,000 years. So saguaros appeared about 20,000 years ago. And they did actually adapt to about a 3-degree temperature change in the first 10,000 years of their existence. So from about this next 10,000 years, temperature were relatively stable within this 1-degree range. And then at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and of course, with the scale of this, this change is happening very rapidly. And we're about 1.5 degrees uh, above the average in 2025. So again, this is happening at such a rapid rate that the uh, ability to adapt to these changes is uh, unrealistic with the uh, long uh, uh, generation cycle for saguaros. This is a similar type of graph with temperatures, but this is in the Phoenix area. So this is more appropriate for uh, talking about the saguaros in the Sonoran Desert. And these are the average maximum temperatures, summer maximum temperatures from June through August and going back to 1935. Uh, and it's a couple of things to note here that it's been increasing at about zero point 0.5 degrees Celsius. I'm sorry, 0.5 degrees Fahrenheit over the last 85 years. And that's since 2000, there's been no year below 104 degrees, which was the average for back here in 1965. And then we have these more recent uh, daily highs in the summertime. So this shows the documents and uh, confirms that these saguaros have never seen temperatures in this range in their history. And this is all new and changing at a very rapid rate. Another uh, indication of the temperature, these temperatures were taken in my backyard, actually, with a couple of different saguaros, just to illustrate the temperature on the surface. And the surface temperature, we've confirmed, is essentially the same uh, below the surface into at least half an inch below the surface. This temperature is the same by using a probe. So this particular one, the ambient temperature 84 degrees, and this was taken at 5:30 in the morning, and the surface temperature was around 89 degrees. At this happens to be a different date, but it's the same consequence or same result. This was taken at the heat of the afternoon, 4:40 p.m., and the ambient was 104, which was certainly not the hottest day of the season. And the surface temperature was 133 degrees Fahrenheit. And we've seen it on hotter days and so on, as much measured as much as 140 degrees. And the uh, photosynthesis stops at somewhere around 113 degrees, 110 to 115 degrees. Photosynthesis no longer functions. So at 7:30 in the evening, when the sun is just going down, the temperature was 113 degrees, and the ambient was still at 100. So these saguaros are seeing temperatures, as we have confirmed before, that they've never seen before, and it is negatively impacting their ability to process the carbon dioxide, water, and light and produce sugars. Looking at a similar graph for rainfall, and this is the annual rainfall in the Phoenix area, and you'll see there's been a trend down, but it's been relatively little change in the last 85 years. So we have all of these drought periods, and that's historically been true. So the saguaros have evolved uh, to respond to this kind of rainfall. One of the differences to note is that the uh, excessively wet years haven't happened since 1996. So these excessive rain years, at least for the time period between 1996 and currently, 2025, there have not been any of these. And how this impacts the saguaro is unclear to me, but it may impact the ability for the saguaros to reproduce. These may be, uh, we certainly know that they don't the conditions aren't correct for the seeds to germinate every year, and it's like 3 times in a century that the conditions are correct. So this is kind of points to the fact that it's not just the rainfall, and when we do get rain, uh, it helps the saguaro. It sure is good to see the rain, but it's not going to correct the problem of the die-off. So the heat and drought in combination with the excessive heat in the recent years is likely what is causing these saguaros to die off at an increasing rate. The process, the CAM process, the process of taking in carbon dioxide, converting it to a malic acid uh, during the nighttime, and then in the daytime, processing it, malic acid back to carbon dioxide and producing the sugars, that is being interrupted by these extreme conditions. And these plants need they need the carbon, they need the sugars for all of their processes, whether it's growth, reproduction, repairing damage, disease, defense, any of these processes, they need the sugar in order to survive. So with these uh, new conditions, particularly the heat, uh, we are looking at the process continuing of these saguaros not being able to survive. I want to spend just a few minutes talking about our saguaro monitoring project with Friends of the Tonto National Forest and the uh, field data collection that we're doing. It's a citizen science project, uh, and we use the Esri Field Maps app, which some of you are familiar with, but we do have a training program, and the one of the key elements of this project is the long-term follow-up. So within the application, we can collect original data and then uh, monitor the saguaro over time by uh, follow-up collections. And we're getting data. This is a dashboard map. So this is available publicly. And this map shows the count, up-to-date count. There's a map of the saguaros that have been collected, and these grid areas are most of them are 10-acre grids that we've asked volunteers to adopt, and then go in and collect the data on the saguaros within that 10-acre grid. And each saguaro has uh, data and a photo of the saguaro, at least one photo. So this is the project that's in progress. We get data out of the database based on, we measure heights and the condition, whether they're healthy or rating from healthy to unlikely to survive to dead. So this is some of the data that's possible out of the database. The grids data on the progress within the 10 acres, and we have map areas with the grids laid out, and uh, we can get a count of the saguaros per acre, and we can see there's some significant differences here. And we can begin to understand, uh, what's going on in these areas. Some of these we know there's been fires in. So Bartlett Road, for example, First Water, these are fire areas, been multiple fires in most of these areas. Uh, and then there's Pass Mountain area versus the Usury Mountain, and these are only a few miles uh, apart, separation between them, but there's some elevation difference. So we can begin to do some analysis of what's the variation and what's the impact of the changes. This is a view of the form that goes on to either an iPhone or a Samsung or Android type phone. And this slide is out of the training session. So this goes through how to fill the form out and uh, what the criteria, and we go through some examples. This is some showing some necrosis. And the training program, we try to get a sense of the data we're collecting and how to do the evaluation. This is the browning. This is the skin of the saguaro. If it's not green, it cannot function. The photosynthesis doesn't happen. And there's different ways as this surface gets damaged. And rodents or other kinds of impact damage, uh, we record that. And so, yeah, if you're interested in the saguaros and what's going on, you can join us at friendsofthetonto.org. Just go to the website. You can find information there. You can find information on how to contact me or others in the friendsofthetonto.org. It's where you win, and be love to have you become a part of the program.